Istanbul. Welcome to Palace Africa Online Television Health Update with me, Precious Amabel Levy. We don't hear inside the daily press conference from the Emergency Operation Center, inside the spokesperson for COVID-19 media team, Ewena Solomon Jamiru, don't talk about certain issues. One we get for do with a case where they say na positive na the Pademba Road prison. Same way so, then Robert Span, the EPAS, inside Mr. Harold, when part of the communication team, he have been talk about the method and way for apply for the pass.
Not only with respect to COVID-19, but also in other aspects of governance, security, health-related, whether it's agriculture. Technology is today an integral part in enhancing the work of governments and also non-governmental organizations. When we had the 72-hour lockdown, within the period of 3 days, there were over 1,000 applications. It had to require additional manpower. It had to require additional time to process. With the introduction of the EPAS, now you could be in the comfort of your home, you could be anywhere and lodge your application online. If you are a transporter of essential goods, Category 1 of our policies and procedures has clearly stated you don't need a pass for transporting essential goods. If you have food items, if you have beverages, if you have water, if you have medicine, if you have fuel, anything that is an essential good relating to the classes that I have mentioned, you don't require a pass. Once you make your way to the checkpoints at strategic checkpoints deployed all over the country, the security personnel could make a determination that this is a transporter of foodstuff and they would allow you to make your way. If you fall under the other category which deals with essential services, telecommunications, electricity, whatever it is, as specified in the policies and procedures, you have to apply online. There are certain persons who would look at the policies and procedures and they would say, my own specific activity or my own specific concern is not addressed in the policies and procedures. We have still contemplated your own scenario, and that is why the policies and procedures have advised that you can make your application, you can send it to the coordinator of the Emergency Operations Center. There is a dedicated team for all categories specified in the policies and procedure. There are dedicated teams to look at those applications. And as long as there is justification for the issuance of an e-pass to you, you will get your e-pass. Those e-passes are communicated to the applicants by text notification, and they are advised as to the use of the e-passes. We are advising people strongly, don't subject the e-pass to abuse. The e-pass is not transferable. That is why people who make their applications, their details are logged in, their details are kept in the system. So if there is anybody who is an eventual holder of an e-pass, other than the person who should be the valid carrier, you will be in breach of the regulation, and for that you will pay a dear price.
Case management is one of the best things that are happening to us in this country, because you have seen that even as at today's date we've gotten 12 cases and 12 discharges, meaning our recovery rate is very, very appreciable. And the case management team is doing a lot, to make sure that people in the isolation centers are given, adequate management, psychological, medical, and even, all what it takes for a case management, for COVID-19. So this is it for case management. And I don't know whether you are also referring to the quarantine centers. Because in quarantine centers, they are not sick, so they do not require nurses and doctors to be attached to the quarantine center. However, there are surveillance officers that will visit them twice or thrice daily to see whether they have any signs and symptoms. And also we have psychosocial workers attending to them and risk communication staff to provide sound and accurate information when they are at the quarantine center.
Also, as a communications pillar, we are also looking at it, and we would appreciate as communications persons, when some things happen, you have to also find a way. There are certain protocols that are attached to it. We take responsibility for that, and also we are reviewing our situation, and we continue to reiterate our pledge to provide timely information, and I'm sure unless for that or perhaps some other isolated cases, but I think the general and wider impression is, as far as communication is concerned, we are owning up to our pledge, and we are making sure that we inform the people. I have been on several fora where I am asked questions whether Sierra Leone should continue, should expect more cases, etc. And I have been very forthright. I believe, say it as it is. You should not only be communications person for things that are good, but you should also be willing to transmit things that may be bad. That's not your own responsibility. I mean, they're not of your making. Your duty is to inform the public, and we should be seen doing that. So as much as we can, but also we have to bear in mind that there are also certain parameters that guide our operations. Matters of public security, matters of public order, matters of public health. We have all of those parameters and considerations that we are looking at. But I can confirm yesterday that it did happen, and that is something that we believe has to be improved upon. Unless for limited exceptions, we should be we should have greater inclination to let the public know, because when the public is fully informed, then it helps them to make better choices, it helps them to be fully prepared, and it helps them in their preventive. The press release is very clear. You know, the person did make a confession, and that confession is clear in the press release. That person was on quarantine, that person slipped out of the net, that person was at Eastern Police Station, the person attends a court sitting on the 17th, remanded on the 17th, reports illness on the 20th, tested on the 24th. The sequencing, the narrative is very clear on what happened on the Pademba Road case. The positive case that somebody is alluding that escaped from Guinea, this is something that we'll investigate. The authorities will be informed, and I'm sure if there is veracity in this, we'll make a determination and the public will be updated.
For Pulse Africa Online Television, me na Precious Amabel Levy. Continue for staying with